Okay, so hello to you all, Freedom Giants. We welcome you to the One Africa Freedom Garden. And today we have a very distinguished personality with us in the name of Professor Odesh Kumar, who is a lecturer, professor at the Adventist University in India, and the head of department of the civil engineering department. The head of, yeah, exactly. He's a very phenomenal commission, very phenomenal statesman, and someone who's much committed towards humanitarian activities and also towards the cause of disaster management. He's written books on various initiatives, and his recent book was also on that field in disaster management. He is someone who is a partner towards reconciliation in the world, and that's why in the year 2022, African Voice International had a dialogue with him on the topic reconciliation between blacks and whites, because he is someone who is concerned and committed towards indeed the commitment and the cooperation between people of diverse skin colors, and getting to know him has been very exceptional. I have my nose here. If I'm to breathe through my eyes, I won't be able to function properly. Meaning every part of the human anatomy has a very essential role to play toward the work function of the human anatomy. So I breathe through my nose, and that's the same way through which I breathe oxygen in my nose. I also breathe out carbon dioxide. I can't breathe through my mouth. I won't be functioning properly. And that's how we want to let every constituent function order in the continent, in the world, to function in that respect. So when you look at the world, we have Asia, we have Africa. We don't want Europe to function on behalf of Africa. Africa has their own perspectives about development, about life, they have their own cultures, that must be represented. And that's how indeed the world can function smoothly. And we call this the global anatomy. When you come to Africa too, we want Africa to function as an African anatomy, because we want each constituent country to also be very identifiable through their diverse perspectives on how things should run. So as they all bring in their democratic views, it brings up an amalgamation of a centralized system for the replica for the representative identity of Africa we want to see. And that's how in our countries, be it in India or be it in Ghana, be it in Kenya, be it wherever, we want there to be the social transition process. So if we're in Ghana, we don't want a particular ethnic group to have preponderance over how things run in the nation. No, we want every ethnic group to be involved in the democratic process. And that's how they will be able to function properly as an anatomy. So we call our countries anatomies. So we have the Ghanaian anatomy, the Nigerian anatomy, the Kenyan. And that's how, in the same way, we also call India the Indian anatomy, because that's only consists of one ethnic group. You have lots of ethnic groups, diverse ethnic groups in India, and when they all, because for example in Ghana, or let's go to Nigeria, they have the Yoruba, the Igbos. If Nigeria was only for the Yoruba, then it should have been called the Yoruba nation. But it's a country that has all these ethnic groups in, and they must be amalgamated on that front. And that's how we want things to be. So today, we are talking on the theme global transformation, and we've known Professor Odesh Kumar for a long time. And he's someone whose perspective on regional development, on globalization, is on a very shared front towards our philosophies. And that's why we are interviewing him on the topic global transformation, the new world we want. So, hello, Professor Odesh. We welcome you to today's interview. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming and such a nice introduction. I think my
Thank
voice
you
is
very much.
audible, and I am humbled with the invitation. So first of all, a heartfelt thanks to all my brothers and sisters of African Voices International. It is an honor indeed to be here, and credit goes to President Isaac, who is a very good friend and a person who is always took the initiative to bring these issues on the global stage. So thank you, sir, and I appreciate the IVI's Nobel Initiative, and I always deeply appreciate the IVI's spirit of not settling for the less. And today's One Africa Freedom Dialogue's theme of global transformation, the new world we want, is particularly close to my heart as well, as India and Africa share many commonalities rooted in their history, struggles for independence against imperialism, rich cultural heritage, family values, and respect to the nature and the elders. both regions have experienced a long period of colonization and have emerged with a strong sense of identity and resilience. The bond between India and Africa is not only the political one, but also deeply cultured and tied to shared values like respect for tradition, community, and social justice. So somewhere this theme is shared kind of a spirit, sir. So thank you once again. So let's discuss and go for a fruitful discussion between India and African interest about accomplishing this theme of global transformation, the world and the new world we want.
Thank you very much, Professor Odes. You speak very good English, and I really applaud you on that. And you just speak normal English, just like any Englishman, British, or just like any normal person who speaks English, and you really do well, and you are conversant in that language, and I commend you on that. Yes, as I've said once again, you are a reflection of the global anatomy that we want, because your ideologies are on towards the freedom and liberation we want to see. They are towards a shared fraction of, a shared equality amongst all fronts, and we really appreciate that. So we'll go straight to the point on our first question on global transformation, the new world we want. And we believe that it's going to be a very phenomenal dialogue, which will serve as an insight towards not only Freedom Giants per se, but lots of people around the world whose ideologies are geared towards promoting a singularistic world, whereby we should rather have a pluralistic world based on the diverse and shared norms of people. So we'll begin very quickly. And our first question to you is, first of all, do you think that Eastern-centric values and also Eurocentric values and also Africanistic values, cultures, perspectives on development, on globalization, can all thrive together without any form of assimilation? Do you think we can be able to have all these perspectives all come on a shared front without any form of preponderant assimilation? Or you think that there must be one order in the way the world is run? A particular continent should have the sole say about how things go on in the entire world. I want to know your views on this, Professor Odesh Kumar. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. It's a pertinent one. Yes, and African and Eastern cultures can certainly correlate and coexist without the need of assimilation. As Kwame Nkrumah, the president of Ghana, once said, we face neither east nor west, we face forward. And this highlights the possibility of African and Eastern cultures finding common ground by working together on shared challenges like equality, social justice, sustainable development, and we can also count this without losing their distinct identities. Instead of assimilation, it becomes the process of mutual enrichment, where both sides maintain their essence while learning from each other. And both cultures engage in meaningful exchanges, sharing ideas, practices, and traditions while maintaining their unique identity. I would like to mention one more thing, that they share, African and Eastern culture share the common values like community, family, and respect for the elders, and can foster mutual understanding, as I earlier mentioned. In a globalized world, particularly, the cultural influences often blend through the art, music, sports, and technology without requiring the complete assimilation. Open dialogues and celebrating each other's uniqueness can further promote coexistence, highlighting diversity rather than conformity, in my views, and I believe in that.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Odes. I think you've really given us a very, very transcendent explanation of how you want to see the world. You want there to be a presentation of each continent's ideologies, as you said, and you spoke about relation with Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So don't look to the east or to the west. You want there to be the presentation of individual values, and that's very, very phenomenal. And in the same way, you spoke about how you believe that if there are various values which you believe could be shared together on a progressive front, they could all be neutralized and progressed upon. That's very unique,
exactly,
and that's very marvelous to hear from you. But on the same vein, we've had, particularly in Africa, we've had various cultural experiences that look to bring forth a kind of centralization, from other fronts, so you go to Europe like this and you find that certain instances we have those countries who in their quest to be aiders, to provide grants to help Africa, they want to indeed let their ideologies have preponderance in Africa. I mean, from what you said, you believe that it's very requisite for each continent to have their own identities. Of course, if there's a need for a shared negotiation, that's fine.
Right.
But there shouldn't be the need for force on the agendas of other continents. I want to, first of all, ask you, and we want to know from you, which values, which tendencies, which perspectives, which agendas, which norms, from India or in the international level, or let's say from the Eastern world, would you want to see them shared in Africa, or do you think that they need to be indeed, patronized and adopted by Africa? Of course, which we need to indeed think and decide whether we want to accumulate them or not. But understanding that, which value do you think that we need to also adopt for the harmonization of the global world, for the global national world we want to see? Thank you, Prof.
It's a very good question. Actually, as we have the 5 fingers and, all have different sizes. So you very rightly mentioned that every continent or nation or region has a different type of cultures. And as far as my country, India, is concerned, so it is like India is the oldest continuity, continuous living civilization in the world. Look, archaeological studies have also shown there is a continuity in Indian civilization that goes back to the 8000 BC. So India has a rich cultural heritage and with numerous practices. And here I would like to particularly mention that it closely aligned with the Africa. If you compare it with other nations, you will find it more streamlined with the African culture. Due to the wisdom, values, and sustainability that is the part of Indian culture. And I would like to name some key practices as an answer because time is short. So we can have yoga and meditation. We all know that on 21st June 2015, United Nations also observed the International Yoga Day. And the unique thing about the Yoga Day is the mental and physical well-being. So we often talk about the physical well-being, like about physical health, and all those issues are associated with our body. But what are the issues associated with our heart? And these are addressed through the this can be addressed through the yoga and meditation. And Bhagavad Gita is a noble literature from India and divine one. So this called that it is the journey of the self. Through the self and to the self. So these 3 words itself signify the significance of the culture which can imbibe in the international community on behalf of the India. And Ayurveda, it is another thing that is that preserves the holistic approach of health. Like Ayurveda that teaches us to cherish our innate nature, to love and honor who we are. Not as what people think or tell us who we should be. So what we are, that should be not what people are saying about us. So, and sustainable agricultural practices like organic farming and which can help addressing the climate change, the modern issues on which I am also working, and also India's handicraft and textile traditions promote the slow, ethical fashion. In the era of the machines, we need the human very much, and human expertise very much, and humanity very much. So the philosophy of the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam means entire world is one family. It was also the theme of G20 presidency in 2024, and that foster the global unity. While festival respect to the elders and classical music and ancient water conservation techniques, which are very imperative for the African context as well, because the water is something which needs to be preserved with these techniques, which are nature based actually, and values of the community, harmony and sustainability that can be benefit that world. I would like to, in my opinion, the culture, these are some cultural practices that would like to be preserved around the world on behalf of the India.
Okay. You've from what you've spoken and what you've said, you basically want to ensure that there's a mutual understanding in whatever goes on, and your
Very
principles
correct.
are meant towards ensuring good standards of living by all fronts, be it health, constant advancement, and all of that. I mean, countries like India and China and Japan are people who are very, very transcendent in technological advancement. And it's very, very understandable to also have your area also helping Africa to be able to be to come in that equitable scene, but not rather reaching a preponderance and a superior rate of governance, in the global system. I want to first of all ask you, Prof. I mean, look at Europe. Look at Europe, America, all of these countries going to the Americans going to let's even go to Britain. Let's go to Britain and all of these countries. Let's even go to let's just fix those places. We've had tendencies whereby there's been structural adjustment programs. There's been reforms, by these countries towards African countries. And of course, there's supposed to be, there are supposed to be global reforms, whereby everyone cares about the needs of each country. And that's how in this quest we also have America, thinking about the needs of Africa. And America has been a very, very, very notable aid partner to Africa on several fronts for a long period of time, right from before the 2000s and post the 2000s. There's been various conditionalities, but these conditionalities are sometimes not negotiable, if I should put it in that sense, because you find most of these countries from the Western Hemisphere, from the Western Bloc, wanting to provide aid to Africa based on certain notions. And what's your take on the attempted preponderance of Eurocentric values on African citizens and the African governments?
Like if I understand correctly, that means the ads and the funds that are being moved in the country, and then the critical issues are being addressed with these governments who are providing the funds and ads, and then trying to implement it with their own way. I think this is something which I am able to understand. And then they are influencing the decision-making process of these part of the Africa, and which influencing the decisions like LGBTQ rights and other aspects. So I think the self-reliance is the short answer. So the self-reliance and the self-sufficiency must be ensured in every part and every region of the Africa, so that if you are independent, you are not truly independent until unless you are not self-reliant as well. So once the self-reliancy is ensured in the region, among the people, among the heart of the people, among the masses, then all these problems is going to be sorted out. So we are not dependent on, if we are not dependent on anyone, and obviously we are not going to influence by anyone. So this may be the short answer of this question.
Okay, so Prof for this has in a way drifted in a way to just go straightly to the principle that he believes are the viable means towards addressing such an issue, self-reliance, as he said. And I believe this must be a call to our leaders, to our heads of states, to politicians, on the need to adapt and adopt policies that ensure our self-reliance. That we don't have to go to these countries day in, day out for aid. And in the course of their aid reforms, they have to bring consistent conditionalities that overrule and undermine our culture.
If we have the support of our self-reliance, and self-reliance is very important aspect. So that's why I'm stressing on this issue, particularly in this question, because African Voices International is including the World Voices. That's why voice can only be loud if we have the reliancy of that much level that world is forced to hear that voice. This type of attitude and this type of aptitude we have to go for in the future, in the modern world, with the changed scenario geopolitics. So this is an important aspect we have to take care of in the future.
Okay, but Prof, what have you what kind of dispositions have you seen in Africa? Values have you seen in Africa that you feel that are unique and you appreciate, and that you feel that they don't need to in any way become be eroded? Which cultures and what do you have you appreciated from Africa that you feel that they are towards the perspective of building the global world that we want to see and in furtherance, a global anatomy? Thank you, Prof.
Which type of virtues and the practices in Africa I would like to appreciate?
Yes.
Well, there are many, because Africa is rich in many aspects. Not only that if I like to answer it, that Africa has contributed invaluable models and virtues that world can learn from. And particularly in terms of the governance, I believe, and economy and society, very rich one. So there is a philosophy of Ubuntu philosophy. I hear a lot about that. For instance, this emphasizes the communalism and interdependence. I would like to talk about the fostering leadership grounded in empathy. That is the thought, I am because we are, means I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am. So this type of quote that reflect the essence of Ubuntu, which highlight the importance of the shared humanity and the consensus-based leadership models found in the various parts, which include the inclusive decision making, about which many international and national seminars are ongoing these days. So ensuring all voices are heard, which can enhance the social cohesion. Additionally, the Africa's, particularly as I also belongs from the person who is actively working in the conservation of the environment and disaster management. So environmental stewardship that rooted in this indigenous knowledge, other sustainable solutions which are critical in addressing the climate change, like Africans' indigenous knowledge, particularly the systems, hold valuable lessons on environmental sustainability and resilience. And these values of the collective responsibility, the word is the correct word is pluralisms and resilience, are the key for building a just, balanced global society. So I think this is the greatest asset of the people, and inclusive leadership is essential for unlocking the potential. So in future, we will need, and in our time, we need it much. We can already clearly can feel its need, not only in the Eastern country, but somewhere in the Western countries also getting influenced with this revolution. So I think this is the picture.
Wow. Wow.
Pace is slow, but it's not going to stop. So I can see this is spreading in other corners of the world. So that's why I covered entire globe, not to the particular regions, locked up in the particular nation, or so this is something we have to implement. We can learn from the African community and the spirit of Africa.
Okay, so Prof, so you definitely believe that indigenous cultures need to be preserved. You believe that indigenous cultures, you believe that internal values they need to be preserved without they being influenced by foreign allies who want to have their cultures be taking the dominant stay over others. You believe that cultures of every country's positions, perspectives on how people see things, on how, for example, Africa, you believe that they need to be inclusive?
Obviously, they need to be inclusive, very much inclusive, because if inclusion is not there, somewhere someone will feel that he is not, his voice is not heard. And I previously, in the earlier answer, I was mentioned that the voices should be heard and the people's sentiment should be heard. So that is why if the inclusion is not there, obviously there will be exclusion. And for that, the type of society, like we are discussing today, the theme of the world we want. So it is not going to fulfill in the future if we are not going to go in an inclusive order, inclusive manner. So I think this is the picture where we are going towards. And here we can see that if you want to go fast and go alone, then if you want to go far, go together. So this is the nutshell, the proverb that can answer this question. So inclusion is very important.
Speaking with you, it's very evidential that you believe in the virtues of a pluralistic world, because most of the times we have various core countries and various countries who want to indeed make their virtues, their values, their norms become the order of the day. And as a result, they want to undermine other countries' perspectives on how they see things. And as a result, the world becomes a singularistic world. And the meaning to which you want to see this world with becomes questioned. I want to ask you to give in your last words towards how indeed you believe that we can have a globalized world with the inclusion of diverse values, diverse cultures, diverse perspectives on how things are, and the integrated representation of every constituent with respect to Africa in the global table, because it looks like Africa has been left hanging. It's been left hanging because there's been a cover up. African leaders are not the ones who are doing themselves. And I have to say, it's very, very, very saddening. African leaders are controlled by the West because they dictate to them how things should be. And as a result, it looks like our cultures are gradually deteriorating, and they keep on decelerating. They keep on just slipping down, and it's very, very bad. And we as an organization are here to see to that indeed there is a reawakening, there's a renaissance. Not only a renaissance, but there's also a respect for regional representation. So I want to give you this whole table, want to give you as much as you can, as long as you can, to and just giving your words towards how you believe that there could be a regionalized order in this world for the global anatomy that we want to see. Thank you very much, Prof. Orders.
Okay, so here we can say, I earlier mentioned that we are all the different branches of the same tree, but yes, it is possible. As you was asking about the globalized world particularly, right? So it is possible in globalized world, but while indigenous cultures must be preserved. So nowadays you can see a race all around. And in this race, the interest of some are preserved, but many are violated. So that's why it requires a conscious effort. And globalization doesn't have to mean the homogenization. Globalization is a word, but it doesn't mean that it should be homogenization. And it can serve as a platform for the cross-cultural exchange. Indigenous culture often solution to the global challenges through their sustainable practices and communal values like technology, multiculturalism, and legal protections can add in preserving these traditions by respecting the cultural diversity exist in these vast areas, which is really a home of many people. And it is possible by integrating the indigenous knowledge into the global systems so that they learn to respect all the people who are following them, and we can create a world that is both interconnected and culturally rich. And as far as the broader spectrum of the human knowledge, values, and philosophies is concerned, my experience says they challenges the Western paradigms by emphasizing the community, spirituality, and environmental sustainability particularly. Or the Earth is the only planet where life is possible. As far as the scientific understanding, we only know this planet where life is possible. So we have to be very careful. Like you can see in today's world, there are wars. There are people attacking each other on each other, and uh, this is all happening on our planet Earth. And as a part of this planet, it become imperative for us. So like. There is an inheritance of the indigenous knowledge systems rooted in the sustainable practices of Africa and India. Like these cultures are essential in providing the alternative ethical frameworks to the world and teach to the world and how intellectual diversity that can contribute to the addressing modern global challenges, how it can be helpful. So lots of suggestions, lots of possibilities, lots of lessons are there which needs to be learned by the modern world, particularly by the Western communities, and the preserving these rich traditions and cultures which exist naturally in the Africa and India, like countries and other Eastern countries like Japan and other nations who are emerging as a stalwart for the protection of all these natural resources which exist on the earth. Like it is important for more balanced and inclusive global society. In the middle of the difficulty, there lies opportunities. It was said by the Albert Einstein, the great scientist, and this can be applied uh, to how African cultures have leveraged challenges to innovate and sustain their traditions and share with the rest world, and how the others can learn these good practices, these humanitarian practices, and these revolutionary initiatives. So, in a nutshell, it's my my words, and I would like to quote here, like we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. Actually, we borrow it from our children. We have to answerable in the future to our children that what we are doing in our present. So these are some burning questions which reflect the ethos of stewardship and respect for the environment, emphasizing the need for sustainability and the humanitarianism in on the planet Earth, which is only one planet where life exists.
Well, thank you very much, Prof. You've spoken clearly, and your speech has just given validity to what we stand for and what we want. You spoke about how indeed we don't have to have the prevalence of a homogenized world, but of course a heterogeneous world. We don't need to adapt to a monoculturalized world, but indeed have a dual, let's say, hybrid one. And that is very, 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 very laudable to hear from our side, because we always feel at peace when we get to know that we have people in the other end of the world who are willing to indeed accommodate, not only accommodate, but are willing to indeed work with other people from other ends of the world for the kind of global world we want to see, and not force their doctrines upon us, because we all have our cultures. Today we grow and you see the 1-year-old child, the 2-year-old toddler, not knowing anything about where he originates, because he's just being influenced by the dictates of colonization, which are flowing in his era now. And it's just very certain. It's very certain through our books and everything. We need to have our share on how things must be. And we're very much humbled to hear from you and to understand your perspective on how you see things. I mean, what I want to tell you, Prof. Others, first of all, I want to thank you very much for your time and for giving out your precious time to be on this interview today. And I know that it's going to be a very insightful one for everyone who will listen out there, everywhere, not to Africa per se, but to other ends of the world, on the need for a shared integration and not a hierarchical system whereby people want to see themselves at the top and see other agents and other people from Africa at the down. But there needs to be that equitable system that we need to share and work across. We are very much humbled to hear this from you. And, we also want to let you know that you are also an African. Because an African is not only someone who does not have the blood or roots of Africanism, but also who tries to indeed eschew all forms of colonization, because your country was also colonized, and all forms of imperialism, and wants to indeed seek sovereignty in his or her land. So you are also an African, and that's how we share this cause of ascendancy on all walks.
I am humble.
So I'm very much humbled for Sir Honest Kumar, and as we keep on saying, you are a freedom giant, and it's always amazing to have you on board. Your last words again before we end to freedom giants, to freedom giants who have been asking of you, who want to hear from you, and who are watching you. Yes, aside this topic. Thank you, Professor Kumar.
Thank you, Isaac sir. And you said that I also belong from Africa, and I'm an engineer by profession, and science also believe that life start from here. Everything start from Africa. It is a true fact by the scientific aspect as well. If any person who is from the science background, they know very well about this fact. And I too would like to add here, like the person without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and the culture is like a tree without the roots. And life emphasize the importance of shaping individual and collectively our spirits together. Like, it doesn't matter that in which part of the world I am living, in which part of the world someone is living, but if their hearts is beating in the same tone, I believe that they are together, regardless of the distances, regardless of anything which we call in our physical world as a barrier, but it is not exist at all between me and you. As we can see, we often interact on various platforms, so we have to interact frequently on same for everyone who is the human being I'm speaking about everyone. So thank you so much for this kind invitation, and I feel humbled, and I would like to contribute on my part. As you say that I also belong from the same Africa for which you are working, so I would like whatever I can capability, abilities, and my so this is actually a fortune for me to be the part of ABI as a freedom giant. I shared my views, and thanks for inviting me here. And I was saying that it doesn't matter in which part of the world we are living, whatever brothers and sisters from this part of the world, which is India. So I will be very happy to do so. And I would like to invite